Welcome to another episode of the Bluddheart podcast. Happy to have you guys all with me here today, this week. It's been a busy week on the PTR. Just been grinding, testing weird things, digging into the fourth cube slot, which we're going to talk about here today. Dig into the shadow clones and really trying to make sense of everything, the tier list, slowly work on everything that we normally work on during PTR season. So it's been fun thus far, and we have learned some things, especially about the shadow clones. And that's mostly what I guess the first part of the podcast is going to be about, are the shadow clones, as it's a big part of the seasonal theme. Even though for a lot of us, the fourth slot is better, more important, cooler, has more implications for builds across the board, the shadow clones is still a big part of the season. It's going to determine how we play. This is about the third power theme we've had, right? We've had the Pandemonium buff where you get the 150 kill streak and all that stuff. And then you get, it goes up to past 150, right? I guess to me, I used to go to get the geysers at 150, kill everything and reset. And sometimes I'd get the angels. So we had Pandemonium, and then we just got done with this snowball theme, right? And there's twisters and snowballs. Oh my. So this is our third time having this power theme. So I guess we're veterans now at this point. We pretty much are going to expect something's going to be broken. Something's going to be crazy. People are going to be exploiting something, right? So that's kind of the negative stain on the season, I guess, or positive depending on how much you like the shadow clone part, right? But the cube theme is great. So it's good that Blizzard gave us both, right? So I'll end my rant here for the most part. I'm sure I'm going to have more ranting, but let's talk about mechanics and all that stuff. So scaling, okay? So you can make a level 1 character and you can add your Paragon or add whatever main stat you want, and the shadow clones don't do more damage. So what we're doing is we're taking a level 1 character, we're going into a Cal level, and we tested this at level 10, 20, and 100, right? With no gear, right? You just no gear, nothing in the cube, just completely naked. You pop a pylon, your clone doesn't do anything. Okay, fair enough, right? We're naked, we don't have anything. So it makes sense that at all levels, if we pop a pylon completely butt naked, our shadow clones don't do anything, right? So if you're unfamiliar with the seasonal theme also, when you pop a pylon, you get a clone of your class. So a Demon Hunter would get a Demon Hunter clone, and there's 3 different variations of Demon Hunter, like Impale, Multi-Shot, and so forth. So you're naked at all levels, you pop a pylon and you get no power from it. Great, So what I did is I added main stat. I used Paragon to add main stat. I added, 2,000 Paragon and popped a pylon, and no changes, at least no significant changes. It's hard because of all the visual clutter on screen. But there was really no changes whatsoever when you added 2,000 Paragon at level 1. Which if it did scale, it would do something, right? So then I did at level 100, nothing changed with main stat. So I was like, okay, no main stat, no Paragon. Let me put some stuff in the cube. I put some stuff in the cube, didn't affect the clone whatsoever, and had no changes on it. People in chat were telling me that there's rumors, or people are saying that the Law Gem, right? The Law Gem was affecting them. Put the Law Gem in a yellow ring, nothing. Nothing. The clone still not killing anything, right? Zero change. Put an Enforcer Gem, a Bane of the Trapped, not one significant damage increase on the shadow clones, right? So, but blood. So what did it, right? What did it? The only thing I could test, right? We could speculate, but the only thing I could visually show you guys and prove is that when you add legendaries, you get your clone does more damage. It's that simple. So you go to T16 and you put in 1 legendary. Now all of a sudden you're killing stuff. And then you put in 2 legendaries and the clones can basically kill things with 2 legendaries. 3 legendaries, they're doing you're pretty much starting to decimate the mobs. 4 or 5 legendaries and they're just wiping the face, right? Wiping the monsters off the face of Sanctuary. So the only thing I could tell with our testing was the number of legendaries you have. I didn't go into seeing if ancients mattered, but that's like, we spent hours doing it, and then we had to test the clones at various levels. So maybe that'll help the community too. I don't know if everyone's been testing the clones to see what they scale off of and all this stuff. We tried sheet damage, if you're wondering. Yeah, like I tried like a Thorns, Akan, Crusader, right? So typically Thorn builds have really low main stat because all their sheet damage goes into Thorns, and Thorns doesn't bump up your sheet damage like crit, attack speed, crit damage does, things like that. So I did a 100 test with AOV, and then I did 100 test with Akan Thorns, right? Where AOV had like 1.2 million sheet, and Akan Thorns had like 500k. So it had double the sheet damage, and no noticeable difference whatsoever in sheet damage. So we try to test every type of variable there was. And again, a cube power didn't change it, but wearing a legendary did. And let me just tell you, it didn't matter if it was a green set. It didn't matter if it was we tried it with a broken crown. Like any legendary made it go up like crazy. So as of right now, okay, if the season was to go live, our strat would be just to roll your blood shards at level 1 just to get any legendary, like a Leorix, Poxfolds, anything, right? A multiplier. That would be the number 1 strat. And then at level 16, hopefully you can equip it, and then you're good to go. Or if you're in a group, probably you're going to get one anyway because of the increased like magic find in a group, and then you guys will share all that. So yeah, pretty good, pretty powerful. And equip those, even you would pretty much level with even subpar legendaries because of this tactic. So like, let's say you got a bunch of crappy legendaries, but maybe like these other items would be a DPS increase, a stat increase. The clones are so good that you would probably just wear these broken down legendaries while leveling because they're so good, or even at 70 even. Because the Shadow Clone will probably solo the map for you because they're so good as of right now, right? So this is like phase 2 testing. It's been live for about 3-4 days, phase 2. So we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Today's a Sunday when I'm filming this episode. So I've had like 3 days with it. And then the 4th day, I make the podcast, right? So pretty good so far. In terms of scaling, remember, just legendaries. The second thing is we're going to go into a lot of negatives, and then I'll talk about some positives, all right? Another negative thing, I guess, is they get stuck on lots of mobs. Like, especially the melee ones, like Barb, Satyr, Monk. Sometimes the Monk will get the Wave of Light variant, and that's totally cool. But they get stuck on mobs. It's super annoying. It's almost like they are, like, let's say a Gen Monk, right? And it's trying to target somebody in the back. It picks a target at random, I noticed. It's not like closest target. Not even, maybe they need to change that, right? So like a Gen Monk clone or a Hoda Barb clone will be like, okay, I'm going to now Hoda the enemy way in the back, and I can't get to it, so it just stands there. There's no path for it. I mean, I feel like I'm starting to shout. Okay, can we bring it back? Breathe. If it can't find a target, it will just stand there like, a robot with no batteries. It just stands there like a Westworld bot, right? Just turned off. So it's weird. It's really weird. And they definitely need to change that. And a lot of times, even if there isn't collision, they kind of get bugged out too. There's weird glitches. Like sometimes they don't spawn. Man. Okay. So let's stick to the thing. Okay. So they get stuck on mobs. Sometimes when they try to get to enemies, their pathing is weird. What I think they need to do to fix this particular problem would be to just give them the illusory boot effect where they can pass through enemies and possibly give them a movement speed increase, because the melee ones suffer greatly where something with range can attack instantly, So like if it's like a ranged clone, you get that feedback instantly. But if you have a lot of melee clones, they have to run to the target. So maybe like some sort of movement speed increase and the illusory boot effect, I think, would help with that problem. But again, there are other weird bugs. Having spawned hundreds of these pylons already, Yeah, there's weird issues with it, man. I think there's still a lot of bugs that need to work out. In terms of following, they follow you great solo. Like if you're a solo player, like you pretty much follow you around the map. If you don't know, they don't leave the zone though. So you can't go to a cow level, pop 5 shadow clones, jump back into the GR. They will still be on that GR. Or if you pop it on floor 1 and you try to go to floor 2, they won't follow you between floors, but they will follow you within the same floor. So you have to be really smart with your pylons, which you pretty much always had to do. So if you get a pylon at the end of a rift, you not only waste the pylon now, you waste your shadow clone jutsu as well, because it'll just be there. Goodbye, bye clone, right? So it'll also still be there and not zone with you. So to alleviate that, you watch some pylon videos. I have a Greater Rift tutorial video with a pylon section on my channel that'll really help, because you need to know how to manipulate the pylons, right? So you can like uncover the map, and then you can't spawn any pylons in a place that you've already uncovered, right, with the Fog of War. So you can you're gonna have to go out of your way if you don't want that to happen to you, but you always had to do that. It's just now it's like a huge DPS loss if you're throwing clones away, right? Versus you're competing on the leaderboard with somebody who took advantage of their clones the right way. So it's gonna be definitely a little bit more min-maxy in that regard. Another thing that happens in terms of following is they follow, like if you're in a group, people are saying that they're following their group members sometimes. So I haven't witnessed this myself, but I had a lot of reports of people saying, yo, Blood, we're in a group, we're playing, and my clone is following another person in the party. So that's kind of weird and funny, I guess. So like last season we passed stacks around, and I guess both seasons are passing like stacks and, kill streak stacks, passing stacks last season. And then now we're passing clones around. So yeah, passing the clones, man. I hope it doesn't get to that. But overall, they follow great, It's just, we talked about them getting stuck and all that stuff. So we'll see how that pans out and what they do to fix it. The next topic on shadow clones I wanted to get into was balance. Okay, let me do some quick maths for you guys. Okay, there's 7 classes. As you know, those 7 classes have 3 builds each. 3 shadow clone builds each, right? So Demon Hunter would have multi-shot, impale, and hungering arrow, for instance, right? I forget the third one. So that's 21 combos. 21 combos. And the season's probably going to start in 2 to 4 weeks at the latest, maybe from now. How are they going to balance 21 combo sets in such a short amount of time? I think there's a high chance of tomfoolery again. There's going to be something that's broken. I don't know. Unless they homogenize it. Unless they make them all like roughly the same. Like maybe there's one build per class. So like Demon Hunter always gets multi-shot, right? And then they can maybe try to balance out the numbers from there. Because right now there's some insane duplicates. If you're watching the video version of the podcast, I'm playing on the PTR and I'm popping pylons, and you can see, like with Crusader, it's so weak. Like Crusader is the weakest by far from what I could tell. Like on a GR100 with 800 Paragon, like 25 gems, right? So from here on out, I'll only talk about 800 Paragon, 25 gem levels, okay? Doing a GR100, the Satyr clone does like 20% of the damage to the Rift Guardian. Like 20%. Like it's so bad. And it's not even like one spec, like all 3 specs are pretty trash. Well, their Sweep Satyr spec is okay. The Fire one is okay. It does like 30%. But the Kiwi Satyr and the Hammerden, it's just so bad, right? And then moving up, you have Witch Doctor. I would say the B tier would be, so Satyr's like an F tier. The clone doesn't even help you. But at least you have 2 S tier builds, right? Because it has AoV and a Con Bomb, are 2 of the best builds in the whole damn game. So is that their way to balance it? Is it to put some of the strongest builds with crappy clones? I don't know. That's like F tier. Don't even, like, your clone is trash, right? And then you go all the way up to the B tier. I made a little ghetto tier list for the clones, right? In the B tier, I have Witch Doctor. In the B tier, Barb and Monk. In the B tier, they can solo a GR100 Rift Guardian by themselves, all the way up to 110, actually. You can just AFK, get a shield pylon, pop it, and go AFK, and they'll kill the Rift Guardian from 100% health to 0% health. The Witch Doctor is subpar, and with Barb and Monk, they barely get it done within 1 minute, which a free Rift Guardian is great. It's just when you're comparing it to the other builds we're going to talk about coming up here shortly. One of the bright spots about Witch Doctor is when they do get the Spirit Barrage clone, it pops off hard. Like, hits really hard. So that's like, that would jump them up a tier if you get the Spirit Barrage clone. So even within the classes, there's variance there. Each spec has different damage numbers across the board. Remember we talked about it, there's 21 combos, and each combo hits harder, right? So it's weird. Now jumping up to the A tier, we have Wizard and Necro. They're amazing to a little bit past GR120. Absolutely amazing, right? If you've never been to 120 solo, as of right now, and you want to play Wizard or Necro, or even the B tier, right? Because we said they can solo a whole Guardian by themselves. But the Wizard and Necro pets, they do it like in 15 to 20 seconds, right? So you can see the B tier does it in a minute, and then the A tier did it in like 15 to 20 seconds, right? So Wizard, one Frozen Orb, or I think it's an Obliteration Orb, one of those takes like 20% health off of a RG, like on a 110. It's insane, man. Like, if they miss their Meteor Shower, it sucks, but a Disintegrate shreds the Rift Guardian with Wizard as well. But it does start to fall off at a certain point. So they could take that into consideration, right? Which makes you think that it's based on the number of legendaries you have. Because if there's a cap, like let's say it falls off after GR120, then it clearly doesn't scale with your character. It only scales with the amount of legendaries you have. So I don't know if it's just my theory, but... And then we have the Necromancer, right? The Necromancer seems to pop Land of the Dead and Corpse Lance with every single spec, and they just light up the Rift Guardian when they do it. It takes about 1 to 2 cycles sometimes, but they do light it up right up the Rift Guardian. And then it does fall off, around that level as well. Pretty cool stuff. It's fun to watch, and I'm on the PTR, so I expect it to be wacky and crazy, and like, it's kind of fun to watch a clone come in and just light up a Guardian, right? And the S tier, we have the Demon Hunter, right? The Demon Hunter is insane. There's like this weird, like, missile launch attack that it's insane. The Demon Hunter lights up the Rift Guardian like nobody's business, and it scales past 120. So this is the balance section, right? I definitely would imagine that they're going to balance this. So this is why I didn't want to make an official video. This is a great podcast topic because I can let you guys know the current state of the phase 2 progression and maybe offer some feedback to fix things along the way to Blizzard. And how would I fix balance? Like I said, I would just give them one ability, and then it would be easier to balance it off. Make one clone with one ability, and I would probably only have them do... I'm a bad person to ask, right? Because I don't really like this clone power. But I would make each clone at every level of the game from GR1 to GR150. I would make them do like 30 to 40% of the Rift Guardian's health. If they went and killed the entire Rift Guardian by themselves, then I would be okay with it because, I have my cube theme, and I can't be like just picky, right? I can't be too picky. It's my job to be critical, but we got the cube theme, so that's all that matters, right? So the balance thing is out of whack. Yeah, I would do it by balancing it, I guess. One suggestion I had was maybe just make like a Tyrael and an Imperious or something. And then you can just make 1 or 2 clones, but then you'd probably have to market the whole theme differently. It could be like a Tyrael Shadow clone, and then everybody gets Tyrael, and he just buffs, and you know, maybe one, because you can get, like the Tyrael can cast spells from every class or something, and or Urshi, or I don't know, right? It can be like some angelic or some demonic being or something. But then you kind of have to market the season a little different. I don't know. Or just one per set. It's scary, man, because it's like, this is so late in the PTR, and we ain't getting no PTR unless they extend it. There's only going to be 3 more days of the PTR. It's Monday, Tuesday. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they might turn it off early Thursday. It might not be like mid to late Thursday. So we could have a really wacky season. I'm still excited because I get to play crazy off meta and use the cube. But damn. Which brings me to my next point. Blood. But Bloodshed. Are the clones fun though? That's the bottom line. Is it fun? And honestly, yes. Overall, it's very fun. Being able to watch your clone whop the Guardian was great. In terms of builds, it does affect builds in a weird way. If you need help on wave clear, like let's say you're playing a Frenzy Barb, right? We need help with wave clear. Well, the clones help you with that. And then we don't need help with the Rift Guardian, so we don't have to save a pylon for the Rift Guardian. We can just beast him like we normally do. Let's say we're playing a Whirlwind Barb. Well, we don't need help with wave clear, so we could save the pylon for the Rift Guardian because we need help on the Rift Guardian. So it does help your builds in a way. And, you know, at its current iteration, you would not have to carry Stricken, which would open up more build variants if the Guardian went from 100% to 0, or at least to 20%. You know, maybe you would be able to be okay with it. The clones also stack, if you don't know. If you have, we popped 3 in one floor, and all clones follow you. So you can just save 2-3 clones if you really wanted. So if the clones did 30 to 40% of its health, you know, you can just get 2 clones, and then 2 clones plus your DPS should be plenty. So that's cool, right? Yeah, so I guess to wrap up my overall thoughts on Shadow Clones, it's funner than I thought. It's cooler than the other thing. It's cooler than the Snowball, believe it or not, right? Because the Snowball is literally ice. And it's cooler than the Geysers and even the Angels. I mean, the Angels are cool, but the clones are cooler. Maybe because it's your class, or it reminds me of the Diablo fight, or I don't know. It's pretty cool overall. And but it's not as cool as the 4th slot, right? So there's a lot of fun combos you can do with the 4th slot. For instance, we were working on our Bariza build. The reason why a lot of people use Hungering Arrow for T16 speeds for God DH is the fact that you can use Yang's Recurve, right? Yang's Recurve gives you like insane reduced resource cost in the build. But now you have a 4th weapon, or 4th slot rather. Now you can use Yang's in your main hand and put the Bariza stuff in your offhand. Did I say Bariza? I mean the Bola build. So the Bola, you spin, right? You're shooting out Bolas everywhere, and it's grouping up the mobs and blowing them up. It's so satisfying to play and watch. And that's probably what I would play if I was playing God DH, just because it's different. And this will be the only season we get to do it, like a cube type of theme season. So you can play Bolas with Yangs. You know, you could have done it every season, but then you can't use Yang, and Yang is the big meal ticket in terms of efficiency. So, excuse me. So the cube has a lot of ramifications across the board. You know, with focus, Barb gets focus and restraint. I mean, we're just whopping dungeons. Really, really, really strong. Yeah, Barb will be huge, right? You get to use Slender Little Rogue. I think we talked about this in our feedback video, but you can use Slender Little Rogue with Tempest Rush Monk, and it makes you tankier and you hit harder. So it's more consistent across the board, and it's not so spiky in terms of damage. But if you want, you can use Shenlong, and it's stronger, but more problematic to play, more finicky and things like that. So you can kind of see the correlation there, right? It's like a trade-off mechanic, almost, like pretty much. If you're watching this on YouTube, definitely let me know in the comments below what combos you're going to use. But yeah, with With Witch Doctor, you're looking at a Vooz Juicer in the cube for survivability, but you could also use like, you know, Unity now. You can fit in all kinds of items. You could even fit in like for speeds, like pretty much Echoing Fury in every one. I'm waiting for there to be something crazy. So like with Twister Wizard, you can use Death Wish, which makes the build insanely powerful. I'm pretty sure coming up here in the video version, I have a Twister Wizard somewhere, and Twister Wizard hits so hard. It makes it viable, basically. Hydra, you can use FNR with Hydra. We're slapping up. We did a Hydra. I have the numbers right here. We did a 107 with 800 Paragon, 25 gem levels. With Twister, we did it in 9 minutes, and we did the same thing. Hydra was 10 seconds faster. It was like 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So that's Typhon Hydra. 8 minutes and 50 and 8 minutes flat, respectively, for the 2 wizard builds with the fourth slot. With Necromancer, we did it in 8:38 with 8:38 remaining. So that was with 8:38 total. So we had 7 minutes remaining. Okay, basic math. So in 8 minutes, we did Bone Spear, which is godly. There's tons of mobility, damage. Yeah, Bone Spear is great. And if you don't know, like with Necro, they have tons of like Relena's or Trigolfang you can slot in and just get a free 200 to 300+% damage in the build. Like you can use Nayers or whatever you want. God DH did it the fastest, I believe. But it really depends on I'm doing some 107s here. Oh no, God DH did it with 334 remaining. So they did it in about 12 minutes. So it is also like map dependent, you know, like some maps are different than others. And the pylons you get, the matter shadow clones you get, if you spawn them at the end of the map, then you don't get that benefit like we talked about. A con bomb was really easy. One way you can play a con bomb with a cube is, okay, so if you're lazy, right, and you don't like, you know, I'll tell you guys the juice here. Right now you can play a con bomb with Justice Lantern, Unity, and Aquila in the 4th slot. And I bet you everyone's going to use this early game. Like this is going to be like what people, because there's no way to survive early game without the Paragon, without your levels and, you know, your main stat, your augments. It's pretty funny, man. Like the weird combos you can make early game to get ahead. And I'm sure there's the same thing you're going to see a lot of defensive options early because people need to survive at these higher tiers early. And it's kind of funny, I guess, because I'm like, dude, we're so tank right now. Rocking 3 defensive items plus the set, and then you have multiple cheat deaths with the Akon set. That was pretty fun. I was playing Veers with Aetherwalker. That was great. That felt nice. Veers was pretty smooth because of the when you use Aetherwalker with Archon, it lowers the GCD on teleport, so you can kind of teleport around way faster. It's just enjoyable. All right, I could rant on this 4th slot all day. All right, like this is like not rant. I keep calling it rants, but I can go on and on and on, like old crazy Diablo streamer, and talk about the 4th slot, all the weird things you can do, and you'll be able to find out all the things in my head on the website. Right, go to bloodshed.com. And that's where all the builds are going to be. They're going to be updated there, so you can always check them out. And I have a crazy video campaign coming up here shortly. I'm just getting all the content and the footage on the PTR, and then I'll be making videos like every day for like weeks. So, yes. There was Phase 2 came out, right? And there was bug fixes. It was like a mini patch alongside it. And I'll just read them off to you. Fix an issue with PC 32-bit and Mac OS clients crashing. So if you're on any of those platforms, then you know it should be better for you now. And it says fixed Wizard Spike to more properly proc Frozen Orb. I really want to test this now. Really want to test this. And another thing, let me log into the PTR actually really quick. Another thing I noticed was Wizard Spike, I think, is only Wizard compatible now. That's like like a undocumented change, because I've definitely used Wizard Spike on Barb in the past. When I tested Frenzy, I tested like every like on hit effect in the game. The best one was Fulminator, by the way. Fulminator was decent. So I went through with Fulminator. Let me check. Let me log in really quick just to double check. See if it's in the cube at least. Yeah, I checked Fulminator. That was good. Thunder Fury was okay. But you know, like Rhymeheart and all these other on-hit effects that we used to use in the game. All right, I'm running to the cube. Let's see if Wizard Spike's here or not. W for Wizard Spike. No. It does not. So this is kind of like, maybe they didn't want Frenzy Barbs using it. But, you know, I'm always looking for an item on my Frenzy Barb. You know, I'm a sucker for Frenzy. So that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, it wasn't, that was like an undocumented change that I don't know if anybody mentioned. So this is what I need to test on Monday, is I want to see how good it is for Spectral Blade Wizard or something like that, you know? So maybe we can have like a Spectral Blade speed build, or maybe it's good for pushing, maybe. They fixed Simulacrum's casting Grim Scythe with Haunted Visions no longer gain double benefit from Trigol Fang. So this was bugged. It was double dipping, and it's fixed now. I haven't tested it, but they said it's fixed. I'm assuming it's good. No one's complained about it, right? The next change was funny. All right, it says, Blessed Hammer will now destroy itself after hitting 63 targets. Like, who the hell is testing Blessed Hammer on the PTR? The Secret of the Light set got buffed. So it makes sense that we have some hammer changes, but maybe it was lagging. It did cause lag back in the day. But it's kind of funny, you know. We made the joke, like, if you guys have ever saw the movie Waiting, and at the end of the movie, spoilers, right? At the end of the movie, he's like talking crap about everybody because they've wronged him the whole movie. They wouldn't let him talk. And then he points to Dane Cook in the back. He goes, and you're the biggest POS of all of them. And then he's like, hey man, what did I do to you, man? Like, I didn't even talk to you. That's like Brrandon, man. That's like Brrandon in the corner of the room. Like, what the hell, bro? What did I do to you? So can we get a buff on Blessed Hammer? Like, this is weird. Anyway, this change is huge. Reduce the tick rate of Energy Twister by half and doubled its damage. Now, this is also because of performance issues, if you guys don't know. This Twister Wizard with Death Wish, woo! It's basically an A-tier build, at least. Okay, I haven't fully tested it. It's basically, instantly I can see it being in the A-tier, as it has some super high damage. It scales great, but in groups, it should still lag. I don't think this is enough to stop the lag. There's a lot of like calculations with the way Twister, like the ability is itself. So I don't think this will fix group play, but it's definitely great for solo players, you know? You definitely can just use the Wicked Wind Rune and just sit back and blow stuff up. So this is great. So instead of having Meteor Shower, we have Twister Wizard. And it definitely needs more buffs because once the Death Wish goes away, I don't know if it'll be used that much still. I'd have to check and see. I know the Diablo planner, the D3 planner did add a 4th slot. You just have to change it to like PTR mode. Let me bring it up here to show you guys here. So it says like PTR versions available. You click on it and it should bring up the 4th slot. Okay, I don't have the 4th slot here. Oh, you click seasonal. So you have to click this little seasonal box and then boom. So you can min-max, you can make your builds with the 4th slot. So that's pretty cool. So you might see some builds on D3 Planner because now I can just put the 4th slot there. If you're looking at my builds on Diablo fans, I don't know if they're going to change and add a 4th slot here. Just make sure you read the description of the build because that's where it would be. All these ads, man. Jeez. But yeah, so it's right here. It says 4th slot, Spirit Cards. So just scroll down, read the description. I don't know if they're going to update their UI to reflect the 4th slot or not. It seems to be pretty easy. I mean, you know, Diablo did it, D3 Planner did it, but I don't know the resources that like Diablo fans has. So I think that covered all the bugs off the last patch. Like that was like the majority of everything. I'm just scrolling and making sure And that was pretty much what phase 2 has been. Shadow clones are out. They said, we appreciate and gathered feedback regarding the initial list of skills from clones. We have decided to remove all hard crowd control effects from all kits and balanced each of the build variants. Did you? To not have a potential buff that is more beneficial than the other two in the same class. Okay. So this is weird because I have a love-hate relationship with RNG. And this is like a whole nother video topic, but I think RNG is necessary to keep us interested long-term. I think RNG is like the pinnacle. Like if you, like, you know, you play PoE, D2 or D3, otherwise you would always get full primals every single season. It would be like a job. If you know that you're going to get full primals, it's a job, right? But if you're playing and you're playing PoE and you're like, oh, I got a tabby. That's insane. Like I got that early. This one season I got whatever item. You're playing Diablo. You're like, oh man, I got an ancient weapon on my Hadra gift. That was crazy. Or my GR70. Man, my GR70 clear got me a useful legendary for my build. That never happens. I think all that RNG is like the cornerstone to keep us interested. It is frustrating at times when you have to fish for maps and things like that. Like the RNG gone wrong. You know, there can be negative effects because of it, and we definitely have to bear that in mind when making games or, you know, paying attention to that. But yeah, I just hope this isn't like a step in the direction of removing RNG, because people will get bored. You know, as soon as you can like calculate and like, you're just literally working now. Now it's not like a game where you're playing, in my opinion, anyway. It's like why Diablo is so, because it's like when something drops, you're excited to see what it is. Or, you know, you're like, oh man, I got quadfecta gloves. So although I agree with the clones should have the same variance across the board, but obviously the clones are hella imbalanced, as we talked about today. So I don't know. But yeah, the clones can be all balanced if they can get it there. But in general, I just hope it's not like, I hope they understand like that. What did Destiny 2 do? Like Destiny 2 copied Diablo. They got, or Destiny, the franchise, right? They're a shooter, right? They basically copied a lot of things from Diablo and they got popular. Like that was one of the reasons why they got popular, was their loot system. And then Destiny 2 came out and they're like, let's make a collection system. Hey, let's remove all RNG and let's make a collection system. Failed miserably. People hated it. People were like, no, man, we want our variable weapon. Why would we keep playing the game without RNG? You know, I know the gear is fundamental to the game versus like the seasonal theme is just once every, you know, we never had this before. It's just like a temporary buff. But just to put it in perspective, like you can really ruin the RNG is a beautiful thing, but you can abuse it for sure. But I think it's very necessary to keep me engaged long term, because I don't want to know what's going to happen. I don't want to know like I'm going to log in. I don't want to know what I'm going to get. I want it to be like, I want to be surprised, you know. There's some seasons where I've had some crazy things happen and it's like part of my journey. Like I remember it as a special moment, you know. So I guess like my first PoE playthrough ever, I got a tabby right away and I didn't even know it was good, you know. And looking back on it, I'm like, man, that was amazing. I was so lucky, you know? So I didn't even appreciate it like I could have. But yeah. Rants over. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you want to support, you can always go on Patreon, patreon.com/bloodshed. You can support on, you know, by liking the video, leave a comment. I love likes. You guys have been crushing the like button lately on YouTube, and I appreciate it. I really like that. It makes me happy that you appreciate the work that goes into everything. It's a Saturday night right now. I'm over here recording podcast in the dark. Look at the screen. I'm in the dark, man. So that's pretty cool. But I think that's it. The next podcast will probably reflect the final changes, whenever that may be. Like, I don't know if the final changes are going to be, that there's going to be another week of the PTR. I don't know if it's going to be Tuesday or when they're going to announce the season. We still have, right as of right now, we have the season 21 still active. So the earliest it can even be would be 2-week warning. If they should give us a 2-week warning, right? let's say they give us a 2-week warning on Monday. I mean, I guess it could be the 29th still. I guess we could still be the 30th of October, sorry. A little Halloween season. It technically could. That's the earliest. I'm thinking more like November 6th or 13th though. With the clones being so effed up, I don't know, man. These clones are far from done. I don't even know how they're going to do it. All those variants in such a short amount of time, man. But they're swinging for the fences and YOLO, I guess. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, thanks again for all the support. Really appreciate it. I'll be back to streaming on Monday. I have 3 days to bang out a lot of these builds. So we're going to be hardcore testing and get as much done as we can in terms of theory crafting, builds and testing, speeds and push builds. Man, we got a lot of work to do. And thanks for joining me along the process. This is Bloodshed and I'm out of here. Peace.